Okay, I've been having a lot of trouble grilling. So I've got my friend Terry here, and he's going to help me figure out how to use the grill. Hey y'all, Mr. Patient, welcome to Heritage Ways. My friend Terry here from Iowa.
Hey y'all.
He's helping me with my grill. I'm able to grill, but I'm having a lot of trouble because I've never really figured it out. I haven't taken the time to go out on YouTube and look at videos to figure out how to do it. And to me, as far as my level of grilling, he's like major griller. Because when they said they were coming and we were going to grill, I said, hey, I've got a charcoal Weber kettle. Is that okay with you? And he's like, yeah. And he starts listing out his grills, and I'm like, okay, I think you got this. So after he said that, I was like, dude, I really need you to help me out. So here's what we're going to do. So right now we're going to basically talk about a Weber kettle grill, kind of how it works, the best ways to set it up for different things, and then we're going to talk about some basic grilling tools that everybody needs in their wheelhouse. What am I doing wrong?
What are you doing wrong? What do you have wrong? What are you using for your fire? What are you using for your air? Fire is a living, breathing thing. It takes oxygen. It takes something it has to eat to live. So the way we manage our grill is by managing our airflow, done by your top damper and your bottom damper, okay, and by what you're feeding it, which would either be lump or briquette charcoal. Okay, because see, I have a firefighter background a little bit. I was a volunteer firefighter for a while, and I understand and know about the fire hexahedron, where to have fire, a living, breathing fire, you have to have air, you have to have fuel, and you have to have fire itself, or an ignition point, or whatever you would call it. And when you're grilling, you really don't want fire. You want heat. Okay. Fire will burn whatever you have on top. That's when you have the flare-ups from either a fat dropping on there. Right. You have the flare-up. That's why when you can put your lid back on, the fire goes back down because you're stopping the airflow from what's coming to it. Okay. Basic grill, though, people will sit back. My first grill, I'm going to go buy me a grill at my box store. What kind of grill should I get? Because you go in there and there's Kamados, there's gas grills, there's pellet grills, there's charcoal grills. What do I want? Okay, now what's a Kamado? Because you used that term for me the other day, and I was like, okay, what's that? A Kamado is, basically it is shaped sort of like your Weber kettle. Okay. Bottom's a little bit longer, and it is made of ceramic. And what you're basically doing is heating the bottom, and the ceramic heat is doing the cooking where your hook's coming from. Okay. I tell everybody, a first-time griller, if you want more bang for your buck, you can go to your box store. You could get a basic Weber kettle. They call it the Smoky Joe. It comes on legs. It'll have instead of a catch box, it'll have a little pan on the bottom of it. About $75. You have all the grill you'll ever need. Right. Because what makes Webers so great is you can grill on them. You can smoke on them using different methods, like what they call the snake method, where instead of putting your charcoal right in the middle, you run a band of charcoal on the outside, and it takes a long burn. You can smoke in this. Okay. You can buy tools for this. You can turn this into a rotisserie. You can turn this into a pizza oven. You can even get a Santa Maria grill, which means you can burn wood chunks in here and get that wood fire just off the campfire taste to your meat. Okay. By just having an insert that can raise your grill and catch that wood fire smoke. All right. But to start with your basic kettle, what you need to do, and what I tell everybody to do with the Weber kettle, when you look inside, you have a bottom damper, and it looks like a little helicopter propeller. Right. That dictates how much airflow you have. Okay. You want to put that, and you don't have it on your Weber, but at the bottom of your Weber, there's the wire that makes it open your damper and close your damper. People mark that at your half, your 3/4, and your full open. So that helps you adjust it without having to look into this and open your up. Then you have a top damper. Now, the way your dampers work, you keep this one closed low after you get your fire going, and you dictate your air with your top damper. So you're drawing your air across. Okay. when you first start cooking and you get your fire going, which we'll show the difference on what your fire stuff is. When you get your fire going, you'll have a nice billowy white smoke coming out of here, and you think, I'm ready to start smoking, or I'm ready to start cooking.
Right.
Do not use that smoke.
Okay.
Because that is what's called dirty smoke. Dirty smoke means when that smoke imparts on your meat, it's going to give it a real bitter taste.
Okay.
You want what's called a thin blue smoke, and it's like that. When you look over, you can just see like little white, grayish white kind of puffing out.
It's just
That's
not
what you're
really
looking for.
billowy.
Yeah, you don't want that big billowy.
You just have like this nice little constant
that lets you know it's there.
Okay.
And usually you keep your damper on the top, depending on where you have your fire. And I'll show you fire placement later too.
Okay.
Depending on where you have your fire, you would like to have your damper. If your fire's on one side, keep your damper on the opposite direction. Causes the heat to have to be drawn over, causes the smoke have to be drawn over. Once you get your grill, you're going to want some grill tools. And you're going to walk up to that and go, ooh, shiny objects. A lot of cool toys. And now once again, I'm dumbfounded. Yes! And there's electronic stuff that can hook up to my phone, and I can be in the house watching the game, and it can be like cooking, I can watch my temperature. But if you don't know how to grill, don't buy that stuff. Wait till you learn how to grill. Learn your grill. Buy a low end, get some chicken, get some brats, get some burgers. Learn how to use your grill. Once you learn your grill and how your grill cooks, because every grill cooks differently.
Okay.
Once you learn your grill, then you can start adding toys. You want your basics. You want a chimney. The reason we're using a chimney, this works by putting newspaper, or I actually recycle my paper from my charcoal bag and put it in the bottom here. You fill this with your charcoal. You light the bottom. The paper gets hot. It gets the charcoal. As the charcoal gets up and hot, then you can dump it in your kamado, in your grill.
Okay.
Second thing you want is a good lighter. I use the style that's called the windlass lighter, which looks like a blowtorch when it comes out. So when you're trying to light that, you don't get frustrated every time you put it down and light it, the wind blows your fire out.
Right.
Nothing is more frustrating.
See, and I use this.
Yes.
See, I use that.
Same exact principle.
Except one of the things I've noticed is because this thing, in order for it to stay lit, you've got to have it turned up kind of high, and it's really blowing a big flame out there, and that's not going to use as big a flame.
Yeah, it's not using as big a flame.
This is burned. What I've noticed is this actually is burning through my paper, where yours is just igniting it.
Plus, you don't got a lot of room to work in here.
Right.
Once you get that in, so that way you can get your hand down in there with it. Next thing you want is a nice pair of a leather glove or a welding glove, just because this is hot.
Yep.
You're going to deal with heat. This just protects your hands a little bit if you have to reach in and move stuff around.
Right. And see, and I like the welding glove because you've got like that extra layer of protection from the heat.
One thing with welding gloves, though, I will tell you, do not let them get wet. After you've used it you see how you got your black and it's nice and hard here? Mm-hmm. If you let those get wet at any point in time, that becomes a rock.
Oh, yeah.
And then you don't have no movement, no dexterity.
Yep.
So,
all right.
The next thing you want is a nice scraper for your grill. I personally use the wood scraper. These are just fine. Some people feel that sometimes this wire will come off, but if you rotate that every year, get a couple of these are cheap. There's like $5 a piece, or sometimes you go to the dollar stores and get them for a bucket.
Right.
Get 2 or 3 of them. If they start looking funky, get rid of them.
Right.
You can also get these that's got a wire coil across the top, so you can slap that on top and get any of the big chunks off. Then,
see, and I kind of, after you showed me this, I kind of like this better because I would think that this is going to be better for the grill grate than like a hard wire.
The wire, yes. Especially when you're using, if you have, because you can, we'll talk maybe later about the different grades. You can get a cast iron grill grate, so when you're scraping cast iron with that steel wool, now you've got to constantly reseason.
Right.
This is just more natural. Reason I teach people about using the charcoal chimney is because some people will get lighter fluid and they'll just douse that with lighter fluid and light it. Problem with that is sometimes with the charcoal it will absorb the lighter fluid, and that's all you taste on your meat is lighter fluid. Next thing you want is a nice set of tongs. Now you can get the grill tongs, they're great. I personally prefer, these are more of a, what they call the salad type tong that's got the little davit inside. Mm-hmm. When you're dealing with hot dogs and stuff, you've got that round texture. this actually can cut them a little bit better, I feel.
Right.
And you can use short tongs. Some people use both short tongs and long tongs. I prefer the long tongs myself just because you get a lot of heat coming off some.
Right.
Next, you want a decent spatula. Now, I have this one here that's really nice spatula. It's long. You can actually scoop up 2 burgers with this.
Okay.
Or you have this style here. This style actually has a cutting edge to it. It's got a tenderizing edge and a serrated edge. These are really nice, you know, when you're out here cutting, you want to check a piece of meat or something, you can give it a little slit to see, you know, what it's looking like. You don't want to cut it too deep because you don't want to lose all that juice.
Right.
But a good spatula is always good to have because you're going to have times when something sticks and something where you can actually pair up your tongs with your spatula, go over top of it.
Okay.
And lastly, most importantly, is a good thermometer. You can go with the nice big digital thermometers. This one here just works by opening it up, turning a button on, and then you engage that as deep into your meat as you want. If you're cooking something with the bone, I like to run it right up next to the bone, and then I'll pull it out and I'll find the fattiest part of it, and I'll run it into that biggest part and set it right in the middle of it, so I know what the biggest part is cooked right where you want it. These digital thermometers are really great. I still recommend people getting a good old-fashioned, just the round, got a temperature gauge round on it, just like you have on your grill, because that's always a good backup. If your battery fails, you can always back up.
Okay.
That's basically all the tools you need.
Okay.
Now, all the cool fancy toys and stuff like, you know, rotisseries, the different skewers and stuff. Just a plain regular bamboo skewer will work just fine. You can get the bigger stuff, but learn your grill. Learn your basics first.
Okay.
Then once you learn your basics, then step up to the tool, because everything's going to be a learning process. When you get that new toy, it's cool, but now you got to learn how it works for your grill.
Right.
For your consumption for your fuel for your fire, you have a couple of different options with your Weber. You have briquettes, which is a processed, it's burnt preformed wood. Yep. It's got filler in it. These all burn just the same. When you put them in, they burn evenly.
Oh, they're all equal size.
They're all equal size.
Yeah.
A lot of things. If you notice, you got these little lines in your briquettes, and they're for pressed in. But when you do your minion method, when you do your minion method with it, or your snake method, these will actually interlock when you want to make your little stand all the way around it.
Okay.
Some people just throw it in there and push it around with the hand. They say, I ain't got time for it. But some people like to interlock them so that you can.
Well, see, I've done that method before, and what I do is I'll just like stack them.
Yep. And that's basically what that is. Yep. Now, you have what's called lump charcoal. This is burnt wood. This is great too. This takes a lot longer to light, and it does not come in even pieces in the box, as you can see.
Right.
This is really great for using on, if you want something we've got some high heat, you're going to do something that you want to sear some steak, or you want to sear something really quick, get it done and over with. Or if, say, you got an offset smoker and you want some good heat to get everything going, this is great. I've occasionally even mixed the two because I want the high heat to get this going. But for the most part, most of my grilling, I'll use the briquettes.
Right. Okay.
And the great part about the briquettes is, with your chimney, if you put a little plate down, once you get your briquettes going in there, if you feel you're going to start losing heat, you can actually start some more in this off to the side, and they're cooked down to where you can go ahead and put them in and keep your fire going for longer cooks.
All right, so let's go in the grill and let's talk about inside the grill and kind of how the thing works. And you mentioned offset heat or indirect heat versus direct heat, because what I've always done when I'm just regular grilling, like say hamburgers or steaks, I just get my charcoal going in my chimney and I just dump it in there and spread it out and go.
Yeah.
So after talking to you before we decided to do this, when we were talking about it, you're like, hey, maybe you want to try it this way. So let's kind of talk about the pros and cons of both ways of doing that. So let's go in the grill. Not literally. I don't think we'll fit.
We'll buy a rancher. Those are big. Anyway, in your grill, you've got a bottom damper. and you look down, you can see the bottom damper.
Yep.
That is your airflow.
And cleans charcoal, cleans ash out.
That's your cleaner, yes.
As well.
Yeah. Now, when I say direct heat as opposed to indirect heat, you can do different ways of putting your charcoal in. You can do, as you said, put a layer of charcoal down. But you don't want to put a thick layer. You want to do a thin layer because that's when you're going to... It means there's no empty place here for your fat to drip. Wherever your fat's going to drip on, it's going to hit some fire.
Right.
That's going to flame up. Your flame's going to burn your meat.
Okay.
Indirect means I'm going to put my fire on one side and I'm going to put my meat on the other.
Okay.
Or you can do what's called indirect vortex heat, which means you're going to put your fire right here in the middle, and then you're going to put everything around the outside of it.
Okay.
Now, reason you do stuff like that is fire on one side, empty on the other. Just like you think of it as baking in your oven. When you put something in your oven to bake, that cooks from the inside, and it cooks your meat. So when you're doing this indirect, you're going to put this over here, you're going to put your meat over here. You're cooking your meat evenly.
Okay.
Slowly. And slowly.
Okay.
So, over the fire, the direct heat is going to give you a hard sear on that meat. Some people do what they call a sear, which means they'll put it on over the fire first, and they'll sear both sides. And then they put it over here and let it bake over here. You'll notice a lot of your high-end chefs, they'll use a cast iron skillet. They sear that really hard with the cast iron skillet, and then they put that cast iron skillet in the oven, and that's how they bake off your meat to bring it up to the temperature you want it.
Okay.
Then they have what's called a reverse sear, which means you're doing exactly the opposite. You're cooking your meat first, and at the end of it, you're going to throw it over the fire for that last few seconds of boom, boom, get that nice pretty color you want, and then take it off. Brats and hot dogs, as we had discussed the other day. People put their brats and hot dogs right over top of that fire, and then a little fat drips on that fire, and that flame comes up and hits your brats and your hot dogs. And when you're done, your brat and hot dog looks like this.
And your casings are all popped open.
And they're all popped open. And half of your brats is inside. Now, doing indirect, your heat's coming over here. Your casing is going to get hot.
Right.
Your casing is actually going to start to brown. And what you're wanting is that nice cocoa brown color with maybe some grill marks on it. You're going to get that over here. You're still getting the heat over here, but you're not getting the brown char, oh, I burnt my stuff.
And the pop.
And the popped open stuff. Now, the vortex I was talking about, it's become really the new thing to do with wings, but you can do it with steaks, you can do it with anything. Do you know how a convection oven works? It cooks with hot air.
Right, it flows hot air around. Right.
So when you put your heat here in the middle, and you put a domed lid on top, your heat's coming straight up.
Right.
And then it's coming down the dome, and everything around it is getting the hot air. It's coming around. So you're cooking on the outside.
So your air's flowing just like a convection
oven. Yeah, just like a convection oven.
Okay. All right.
So that's what indirect heat means. Now, another way you can get an indirect heat with your charcoal over the bottom. Say you wanted to do some hamburgers. Yeah, you spread that out. You do your hamburgers. The spread out method works really good if you're using the pre-packaged hamburger, you know, the little flat patties.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to, you have a big crowd over and you want to do those real fast.
Right.
They're great. Put those on, and then you're going to do your hot dogs. All you do is lift your grate, take a cookie sheet, and throw down on top of your coals, and then put your brats and your hot dogs right on top of that cookie sheet, over top the cookie sheet. What that does is it keeps a direct flame from going up to your brat and hot dog, but you still get the heat coming up. You know, the Kamado I spoke of, they do roughly the same thing. They have a plate that fits over top of this. That's one thing with your Weber grill. They have what's called a Hunsacker. The big thing now is the Blackstone grills that are basically it's a cooktop. You can turn your Weber into a cooktop. It's a flat cooktop, little holes, but you're getting that net step over because you're getting that smoke imparted on the hash browns and eggs and everything that would normally fall through this.
Right. I guess we'll see you later, and next time we see you, we're actually going to be grilling.
Yes, we will.
All right.